Hello everyone, I welcome you all to this lesson. Today I am going to discuss Merchant of Venice, Act 3, Scene 1, written by William Shakespeare, which takes place at Venice, a street. So here I begin. And before that, let me ask you, have you subscribed to my channel? If you haven't subscribed up till now, then please do. And watch the video till end and press the like button if you have liked it. So now let us start Act 3 Scene 1. This is an important scene, so I would advise you to listen carefully to the explanation, and I also suggest you to take down the notes as I speak because it will help you to understand better and revise nicely. This scene takes place in a street in Venice. Enter Solanio and Salario. Solanio, now what news on the Rialto? So both the friends are meeting and they are discussing what has happened. Any news in the shipping exchange? Rialto is the stock exchange, a market exchange in Venice. Salario. Why? Yet it lives there unchecked that Antonio hath a ship of rich lading wrecked on the narrow seas. The Goodwins, I think they call the place, a very dangerous flat and fatal, where the carcasses of many tall ships lie buried. As they say, if my gossip report be an honest woman of her word. So there has been a rumor circulating in Venice that one of Antonio's richly laden cargoes or argosies has been wrecked in the narrow sea channel, which they call the Goodwins. But no one has contradicted this rumor that no, it is or not so, whether it is or it is not so. A very dangerous flat. So, this place where it is reported to have got wrecked is a very shallow race, flat and fatal means very dangerous, which results in death and destruction. But a ship cannot die. So here fatal means laden and be destroyed, or which gives surety to destruction. Where the carcasses of many a tall ship lie buried. So can this be normally would mean the dead body of an animal, but there it is the dead body of the ship. That means the wrecked of the ship of many a tall ship. That means many ships have met this fatal on this place called the Goodwins, and Antonio's ship is also thought to have met the same fate. If my gossip report be an honest woman of her word, so here gossip is being personified, or the rumor is being personified as the woman. So if she is true and honest, then it is a fact that Antonio's ship lie wrecked in the Goodwins. Solanio. I would she were as lying a gossip in that as ever napped ginger or made her neighbors believe she wept for the death of a third husband. But it is true, without any ships of prolixity or crossing the plain highway of Delhi, that the good Antonio, the honest Antonio, oh, that I had a little good enough to keep his name company. So Solanio wishes that the gossip was not a true one, it was false, because if the gossip was a false, then it would mean that Antonio's ship would have escaped the wreck. It has not met with the wreck. So he just wishes that, like a woman who tells lies to her neighbor that she had cried at the death of her third husband, if you have the inclination to marry three husbands and would have cried at the death of a third husband, then no one would believe it and would think that you are lying. So, a woman who tells that she has wept at the death of her third husband, people assume that she is lying. So, he wishes that in the same way, if only the gossip had been a lie, like a woman who lies that she had cried at the death of a third husband, or chewed ginger, she had chewed ginger, but it is true. Then he wishes that it should not be true. It should be false, but the fact is that it is true. Without any ship of prolixity or crossing the plain highway of talk, that the good Antonio, the honest Antonio, oh, that I had a little good enough to keep his name company. So he says that it is a fact without breathing about the bush, without beating about the bush, without going into long winded sentences. Rather, if we talk in a plain manner, if we come straight to the point, the fact is that the good Antonio, so though he says he want to come straight to the point, the fact is that he is still beating about the bush. He is going on adding one adjective after another to add to Antonio's name. So he is finding more adjectives to suit the name of Antonio. So Salarius is too eager to know whether it is true or not. So he says, Salario, come, the full stop. That means, come, put an end to what you are saying. Complete your sentence. Solanio, ha, what says thou? Why, the end is, he hath lost a ship. So what did you say? You want to know an end of it? You want me to finish the sentence? So the summary of the substance of mine sentence is that Antonio has indeed lost his ship. Salario, I would it might prove the end of his losses. So being a good friend, naturally, he hopes that this would be the last of Antonio's losses, because in recent times, Antonio had been facing one loss after the other. So he just wishes that it is the last of his losses. He doesn't bears any more loss. Salanio, let me say Amen betimes, lest the devil cross. So my prayer, for here he comes in the likeness of a Jew. So it is customary that once you say a prayer, you offer a prayer to God. Immediately you say Amen, because it is said that if a space is left between prayer and Amen, then the prayer is not fulfilled. If it is crossed, if the devil crosses it, this is the belief. So Salanio says, let me say Amen very soon to the prayer so that it is fulfilled, because otherwise the devil might try to cross the path in between, that is, the space in between the prayer and Amen. And if I say Amen late, and if the devil crosses my prayer, then it will not be fulfilled. Why does he speak this? Because he says, Sherlock at a distance, for here he comes in the likeness of a Jew, because I see the devil coming. So, in the form of a Jew, so he is coming. That is, Sherlock is a devil. That is why he wants to speed up with the word Amen. Enter Sherlock. How now, Sherlock? What news among the merchants? So they feel that Sherlock is the best person to know whether Antonio has suffered the loss or not. So he is asking Sherlock, what news among the merchants? What is the latest news you have bought from the merchants? So Sherlock is not in a mood for conversation. He starts accusing them right from the beginning. Sherlock, you knew none so well as you, of my daughter's flight. So, yes, you knew very well, both of you knew about my daughter's elopement, that she had been planning to run away and has run away. No one knew as well as you knew about her flight. Salario. That's certain. I, for my part, knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal. So Salario is teasing Sherlock, and he says, "Yes, that's very true." And knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal. This can have two meanings. One can be that, remember, Jessica had told that she had planned to elope in the page's suit, in the dress of a page boy. So it can be that the tailor here who had made the suit, the page's suit for Jessica, and it can also mean Lorenzo, without whose help the elopement would not have been possible. As with whom would Jessica elope if Lorenzo would not had helped her? So it can mean Lorenzo also. Solanio and Sherlock, for his own part, knew the bird was flesh, and then it is the complexion of them all they leave the dam. So Solanio says, yes, Sherlock also, if he very here is being compared to a bird. When the bird learns to fly on its own, it doesn't return to its nest. It leaves its old nest where it had been bred by the mother, and it goes and finds its own life the moment it learns to fly. So till he doesn't know how to fly, his mother comes to keep on feeding the babies and teaches it to fly. Once it learns to fly, it does not come back to its nest. It makes its nest of its own. So Sherlock, for his own part, knew that bird was a flesh, and then it is a complexion. Sherlock also knew that Jessica was grown up, and when the girls grow up, it is customary for them to leave their father's house and go for their husband's house. Sherlock knew this very well. So Jessica is compared to the bird which has learned to fly, and as a result, Jessica has left her father's house, that is, dam, and gone away to make her own house. Sherlock, she is damned for it. So he is very angry. So may she be damned for what she has done. Salario, that's certain, if the devil may be her judge. So just see, they are putting salt to her injuries, as he is so angry, and he is telling yes, that certainly be damned, provided not God, but the devil judged her. Sherlock, my own flesh and blood to rebel. So Jessica is my own flesh and blood, and that she should rebel, that she should cheat me, she should go against me. That is, she has turned against me. Solanio. Out upon it, old Charon rebels it at these years. So Solanio says, no, your flesh still rebels at your age. Shylock, I saw my daughter in my flesh and my blood. So Shylock says that Jessica is my daughter, and so she is my flesh and blood, which runs into her body. Solario, there is no difference between thy flesh and hers than between jet and ivory, more between your blood than there is between red wine and Rhenish. So just see how they are differentiating between Shylock and Jessica. So your flesh and her flesh, they are as different as a jet and ivory. Jet is black and ivory is white. Not only that, your blood and her blood. Your blood, if it is red wine, Jessica's blood is Rhenish wine, which is supposed to be a very expensive wine, as it is of the best quality, made by the water of the river Rhine, and it is white in color. So her blood is Rhenish wine, while your blood is cheaper and of inferior quality. But Tyrus, do you hear whether Antonio have had any loss at sea or no? So let me know if Antonio has suffered any loss at sea. Means, please tell us if Antonio's sea business has suffered any loss. Now Shylock, yes. Shylock, there I have another bad match. A bankrupt, a prodigal, who dares scarce show his head on the Rialto, a beggar that was used to come so smug upon the mart. Let him look at his bond. He was wont to call me users. Let him look to his bond. He was wont to lend money from the Christian courtesy. Let him look to his bond. So yes, another bad match, bad bargain, another bad business done. Shylock is in a very bad condition. Jessica has run away with such a lot of money. Antonio, his ship are getting wrecked. So he might not be able to pay the 3,000 ducats. So there, I have another bad match, a bankrupt, a prodigal, who dares scarce show his head on the Rialto, a beggar that was used to come so smug upon the meat. So he is madly infuriated and says, I have another bad business. It was Bassanio, who was known to be prodigal. But Shylock calls Antonio a prodigal. So he is a bankrupt. He is a spendthrift. Now he hardly shows his face in the Rialto. He is a beggar. Earlier he used to come so smiling, so confidently into the market, and now what does he do? He doesn't show his face. So Shylock says that he should better see that he fulfills the conditions of the bond. Let him look at his bond. Antonio used to call him a usurers, used to lend money free of interest. So see that he fulfills the condition of the bond. So he used to call Shylock users to lend money for Christian's courtesy, and Shylock wants that Antonio should fulfill the conditions laid down in the bond. He doesn't really want, you will see it later, that the plan which he had made regarding the bond was that, taking it into mind that ships are but ships, but boats, sailors are not mortal or human. So there might be a chance that Antonio's ship get wrecked and he might not be able to pay the money, and this is what had made him to plan this bond. Act 1, Scene 3. But at this moment, when he thinks about his loss, he gets mad. Salario. Why, I am sure if he forfeits, thou wilt not take his flesh. What's that good for? So Salario wants to know whether Shylock is really serious about the pound of flesh, which is the penalty if Antonio is unable to pay the amount at the right time, at the right place, and at the right amount. So just see Shylock's anger. He says, this is a very important scene, and Shylock's dialogue is also very important. So see what does Shylock says. Shylock, to bait fish withal, if it will feed nothing use, it will feed my revenge. He had disgraced me and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies. And what his reason? So I will use this flesh of Antonio to bait fish, to trap fish, to allure fish. When people go for fishing, they either use earthworm or dough or a small fish called fry. They use it at the hook of the fishing rod and attracted by it. When the fish comes, then they get stuck to the hooks and then they are caught. So these are the baits to trap the fish. So he says that with Antonio's pound of flesh, I will use it as a bait to catch fish. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. So being a human flesh will be as profitable, he had said earlier, because animal and birds' flesh are eaten by human beings, so they are profitable. But unless you are a cannibal, human flesh is useless. If it is useless and does not feed anyone, it will feed my desire for revenge. He hath disgraced me and hindered me 500,000. So this is a very important speech in Act 3, Scene 1. Please keep it in mind. We have all sympathy with Shylock. We come to know that the man who has been humiliated, who has been treated very badly, and it is natural for him to strike back when he gets the opportunity. He had said that if I once get upon you, so he had disgraced me and hindered me 500,000. So Antonio has insulted him. He is responsible for my losses. 500,000 ducats, laughed at my ducats. That means when I suffered a loss, he enjoyed it. He laughed at it, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation. When I profited, he made fun of it. He ridiculed my nation, the Jewish nation, thwarted my bargains. So in my business dealings, he came and interfered, cooled my friends, heated mine enemies. So he provoked my enemies and made my friends indifferent towards me. And what's his reason? And why did he do all this? I am a Jew. So this is the only reason. He treats me drastically bad in a bad manner, only because I am a Jew. Hath not a Jew eyes? Hath not a Jew's hands, organs, dimensions? senses, affections, passions. So, doesn't a Jew have eyes like others? Doesn't he have hands? Doesn't he have other organs of the body? Doesn't he have all the senses, the feelings, the passions which other people have? Is he deprived of anything which other men have? Then why? He is similar to everyone. He is just like any person, like any other person. Then why is he treated so badly? Fed with the same food, fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian. So, the food which others take, even the Jews are fed with the same food. The weapons with which hurts another person, the same weapon can hurt a Jew. The diseases which others suffers, even the Jews are subject to the same disease. The medicines which heals another person, the same medicines will heal a Jew, and cooled by the same winter which cools others. The Jew will feel cold, it cools them also. The Jew will feel the heat of the summer, and like any other people do, if you prick us, do we not bleed? Means when you are pricked, you bleed. Then do we not bleed when it pricked us? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? When others are tickled, they laugh in the same way. When we are tickled, we also laugh. If you poison us, do we not die? Others, when they are poisoned, they die. Similarly, when the Jews are poisoned, they also die. So, where is the difference? If you wrong us, shall we not revenge? Yes, very nice. Finally, he drives in his point that if we are similar in all other aspects, then why not in this? When a Christian is wronged, he takes revenge. So, when a Jew is wronged, shouldn't he take revenge? If we are like you in the rest, we will resemble you in that. So, in this case, also we will be similar. We will resemble you. If a Jew wrongs a Christian, what is his humility? So, if a Jew does something unjust to a Christian, so what will he, that is the Christian, do? He will take revenge. Revenge? If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferings be? By Christian example? So, if a Christian does an injustice to a Jew, how should a Jew react? He should also take revenge, following the Christian's example. The Jew should also take revenge. Why revenge? The villainy you teach me, I will execute it, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instructions. So, this villainy I have learned from the Christian, and yes, I will carry it out. I will execute it, this villainy, and it may be strange, but I will better the instructions means I will carry out my villainy in a much better way than you. I shall carry out the evil lessons you teach me. I will be more malicious in the revenge. Enter a servant. So, this speech of Shylock is important. So, you must understand very well from the point of view of examination. Enter a servant. Servant. Gentlemen, my master Antonio is at his house and desires to speak with you both. So Antonio has sent his servant to search Solario and Solanio. Solario, we have been up and down to seek him. So, yeah, we are searching for Antonio everywhere. So now Tubal comes. Remember, Sherlock had told that if I am unable to furnish all the 3,000 ducats to Bassanio, you need not worry, because Tubal, another wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, will provide me with the remaining money to Bassanio. So it is this Tubal, a very wealthy friend of Sherlock, entered Tubal, Salanio. Here comes another of the tribe. A third cannot be matched unless the devil himself turn Jew. So Tubal also must have been equally hated like Sherlock. So Salanio remarks, tells us this. So Salanio says, see, another of the Jew is coming. You wouldn't find a third to match these two, means that Sherlock and Tubal, they are so alike each other, you won't find a third form of a Jew. So these three, Salanio, Salario, and servant, they leave. Sherlock, how now, Tubal? What news from Genoa? Hast thou found my daughter? So, what had happened after Jessica had run away? Sherlock had really become so mad and he was so desperate to get his money back, rather, his money, not Jessica. So, he had sent Tubal with a lot of money to go and bring Jessica back and recover his money. But Tubal has come back and now he's inquiring whether Tubal had some success or not. Tubal, I often came where I had heard of you, but cannot find her. So he says, I had visited quite a few places wherever I got the news that she was seen there. But when I reached that place, she was not there. I did not find her means she might have left that place when Tubal had reached that place. Now see Sherlock's outrage. Sherlock, why there? There, a diamond gone? Cost me 2,000 ducats in Frankfurt. So Jessica has run away with one diamond also, which was very expensive. It had cost Sherlock 2,000 ducats, and where had he bought it from? Frankfurt. The curse never fell upon our nation till now. I never felt it till now. So it is his personal loss, and he feels that this loss is the loss of Jewish nation. He says, a curse has been suffered of a Jewish nation. We haven't suffered an ancient curse up till now. This is the time when we are suffering on account of the curse. 2,000 ducats in that and other precious jewels. So Jessica has run away. Not only with this diamond, there are other precious stones with which she has run away. I would my daughter were dead at my foot, and the jewels in her ear would she never hears at my foot, and the ducats in her coffin. So this is where he loses our sympathy, a father wishing for the death of his daughter, only to recover the jewels, the earrings, which has the precious stone, and all this is really deplorable. Money is more important to him, to Sherlock, than to his daughter. Would she were harassed at my foot and the ducats in her coffin, so he would be prepared to see her in her coffin, provided she has the ducats in her coffin. No news of them. Why so? And I know not what spent in the search. So you haven't been able to get any news of them. He is asking Tubal, why is it so? Why this loss and so much money I had given to you to go and search for Jessica? Why thou loss upon loss? The thief has gone with so much to find the thief. Here Jessica is the thief, and she had run away with so much. In order to find Jessica, I had given you so much. So much Jessica has taken, and so much Tubal has been given, and no satisfaction. And what is the result? A complete zero, and no satisfaction at all, no revenge, nor no ill luck, stirring but what lights on my shoulders. So the only ill luck suffered by a person is me. I am the only one to suffer ill luck. No sighs but on my breathing, no tears but oh my shedding. I am the only one who is taking a deep breath of sadness. I am the only person who is crying. So now Tubal feels Shylock's luck is really very sad and devastated. So he feels that I should do something to cheer him up. Some news. Tubal. Yes, other men have ill luck too. Antonio, as I heard in Genoa. So, yes, other people have also suffered bad luck. Antonio, I heard in Genoa. And the moment he talks about Antonio, just see how charged up Shylock becomes. Shylock, what? Ill luck? Ill luck? So immediately he becomes very charged up. So what did you say? Ill luck? Ill luck? Tubal, Hath and Argosies cast away, coming from Tripolis. There is another Argosy which was coming from Tripolis, and it has been cast away. It has been lost. One of his merchant ship. So just see how Tubal will take Shylock to a seesaw ride, means with the news he will allegate Shylock, and with another news he will bring him down, and he will be on a low. Shylock, I thank God. I thank God. Is it true? Is it true? So, hearing this news, Shylock becomes extremely happy and thanks God for this good news for him, and asks Tubal whether the news is correct. Tubal, I spoke with some of the sailors that escaped the wreck. So he came in contact with some of Antonio's sailors who escaped the shipwreck, and from there I came to know that it was Antonio's ship which had suffered the loss. Shylock, I thank thee, good Tubal. Good news, ha ha, heard in Genoa. So Shylock says to Tubal that I really thank you for giving me this good news. Where did it happen? In Genoa. Where did you meet the sailors of Antonio? In Genoa. How now he feels I should give some information about Jessica. Tubal, your daughter spent in Genoa, as I heard, one night 80 ducats. Then this is a saddening news, and this will bring Shylock down. So this news will damp his spirit. Your daughter, I have got the information that she had spent in one night 80, where one score is equal to 20. So 80 equal to 4 into 20, that is 80 ducats in one particular night. And see what a news it is for Shylock. Shylock, thou stickest a dagger in me. I shall never see my gold again. 80 ducats at a setting? 80 ducats? So your words on the news which you are imparting to me is like a dagger which pierce my heart. I shall never see my gold again. 80 ducats at one sitting. That means in one sitting she has spent 80 ducats. And you know that Sherlock was a miser person. He hardly would like to spend any money. Tubal. There came divers of Antonio's creditors in my company to Venice. That's where he cannot choose but break. So, quite a few Antonio's friends, creditors, who had lent the money, they also returned with me back to Venice. And they are all of the opinion that Antonio cannot escape or be a bankrupt. So he will definitely be bankrupt. So this is a really very happy news for Sherlock. So again Tubal alienates him and on a high level. Sherlock, I'm very glad of it. I'm pleasure him. I will plague him. I will torture him. I am glad of it. So Sherlock was very glad about that. He says, I will haunt him and I will torture him. Tubal, one of them showed me a ring that he had of your daughter for a monkey. So again, Tubal is bringing him down. One of them showed me a ring. So this ring, why did Jessica give him the ring? In exchange for a monkey. We must develop a fascination for monkey as she had seen it. So this was a very foolish act of Jessica, giving a ring for a monkey. Sherlock, out upon her, thou torturest me. Tubal, it was my turquoise. I had it of lay when I was a bachelor. I would not have given it for a wilderness of monkeys. So Sherlock was surprised to know that the ring, I had got that ring when I was a bachelor from Leigh. Leigh was his wife Jessica's mother. So I wouldn't have exchanged it for a regiment of monkeys, an army of monkeys. Oh my God, what a fool is Jessica to have exchanged that costly ring just for the sake of a monkey. If they would have given me an army of monkeys, then also I wouldn't have given them. Tubal. But Antonio is certainly undone. So again he is putting him on a higher level, that is, high pedestal, by telling him that it is a bad luck for Antonio. Sherlock. Nay, that's true. That's very true. Go, Tubal. For me, an officer, bespeak him a fortnight before. So he says, yes, yes, that's true, very true. Please proceed and go and appoint a lawyer to handle my case and talk to him for a fortnight before the expiry of the bond, that is, when the bond expires. If he forfeits, he incurs the penalty, unable to pay the money on the exact date according to the bond. Then I will have the heart of it. Remember, he had said, from whichever part of my body pleaseth me, I will have the heart of him. If he forfeits, for where he out of Venice, I can make what merchandise I will. Go, Tubal, and meet me at our Snagguk. Go, Tubal, at our Snagguk Tubal. In Act 4, Scene 1, we get to know that Sherlock had mentioned in his bond that a news to his heart, that nearest to his heart. So that is why he says, I will have the heart of him if he forfeits. So he is ready to kill Antonio. cut Antonio's heart means to kill him, as man cannot survive if his heart is cut out. So he fails to make the conditions of the bond, and if Antonio is out of Venice, means if he is dead, then whatever loss Shylock has suffered, he feels he can recover it because he will be again a rich man, a rich Jew, lending money with heavy rate of interest. When Antonio was there, he will help the people by lending the money without charging interest. And now people will have no other option but to come to Shylock in order to borrow money. Then Shylock would charge whatever interest that pleaseth him, and in that way he would again become rich, provided Antonio was out of Venice. How could that be possible? Only if Antonio fails to fulfill the condition of the bond, and Shylock then would extract a pound of flesh from him, which would be the result in the death, and only then it would be possible. So, with this, we come to know to an end of Act 3, Scene 1. The scene ends in an extraordinary mixture of comic and tragic suffering of Shylock. In the anguish his Jewishness has suffered. He is an affectionate husband and an old widower, fondly cherishing the memory of his dead wife. His scene focuses on the character of Shylock, the cleverness of Tubal, how he can manipulate Shylock's different reactions, different sentiments, and emotions as he is leading and Shylock is following him by reacting differently. That Tubal is telling about. It also tells us about Solanio and Celario or Celarino at the beginning of the scene, and it also gives us a glimpse of Jessica's character as seen through Shylock, her father. There are other important elements that you need to remember in Act 3, Scene 1. This is an important scene from exam point of view, especially Shylock's dialogue to bait the fish, and in ICSE every line is important. So you must know the meaning of each and every line very nicely. So dear children, with these words I end my lesson. Watch the video till end. Do like and share with your friends. Hope this lesson will be beneficial for you in your study. Thank you.